All right, let's go to the next one. The NFL possibly adding another official off the field who would be there for stuff like this. Now we have the replay official, but really what this discussion is making a permanent, off-field official, somebody up in the booth who can not only review everything, but he can stop the game at any moment and say, hey, this was not the right call. I'm going to tell you what the pros and cons are from my perspective, and I want to hear yours. I think all football fans, and quite frankly, coaches and players also, are tired of the bureaucracy getting on the field. It's just ridiculous. The replay official is just too. I mean, you can watch games now. Now I'm at games, so when the Raiders aren't playing, if I'm watching a game, and there'll be a review, and they'll bring in Peralta, or they'll bring in a well-known official, and there's argument on air. Is it this? Is it not? Because it's so minute. I'm all for bringing the official if they have the ability to stop the game at any moment and overturn a call, like we just talked about with unnecessary roughness. If it gets rid of the replay official and they're just permanently there. But here's the problem. You don't want to stop games for 15 minutes. Well, let's go to New York, or let's go to Los Angeles. You don't, because we just talked about pace of play. We just talked about, reviewing in real time. 15-minute breaks for a bureaucrat to make a decision are not smart. But if it's a 15, if it's a X amount of break for an official to keep the game effective, although I think fans hate bureaucracy, and so do I think you could sell that. Your thought?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is I think it's getting better. Over the years, it's starting to get better. I think right now we see New York as a de facto off-field official. And my impression, unfortunately, is that the referees in this sport have really pushed back against that idea. And that's what kept this from happening 5 or 10 years ago. So I think there is a spot for an off-field official that has basically limited jurisdiction, that he can point out something that happened way far away from the play, take care of all the replays, and get it done efficiently, like you talked about. Right now, what we're seeing is they all go to New York. Maybe one day they go split between New York and LA, with, of course, the NFL offices present in LA. And that may be a reasonable accommodation. I would just like to see, and I think it gets more efficient and less bureaucratic if you keep it in the building there. And if there is really kind of an equal footing between the guys on the field and those in the booth, it looks bad for the officials on the field. Historically, it looks like they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be touched. They don't want to be second guessed, but they can't see everything, as we know. And this is not the only sport that needs it. For the love of God, NBA and college basketball need to do something about it. The NHL arguably does, but football is by far the biggest and most popular sport. There's the most on the line, if you will. And now you've got fans. Look, you've got fans spending dollars clicking on their phones with these. Now they're entertainment dollars, I sure hope. But
hey, I live in Vegas. No, we don't.
Yeah. But I think there's a spot for it. I do think we need to say it's gotten better. But even little tweaks like, hey, if we're reviewing a targeting foul, review it at real-time speed, not in slow motion. That makes it better. Consolidating who's making those calls. There's a spot for an off-field official that can make the game more efficient. And whether we get to that before the end of the decade, it'll be interesting. Maybe everything just runs out of a central command, but at some point, a pro league is going to say, oh, we're going to go another step and give somebody the authority there in the arena, in the building. So we don't really even have to get involved unless it's something way out of bounds. So we don't have a long break in the game. And to their credit, it's getting better. And actually, we've seen some of the spring leagues take you inside of that process. They know the clock is ticking. They know the world's getting faster. They know people don't want the game getting any slower. So I think we're going to see continued progress there between now and the middle and latter part of this decade.
I mean, fascinating to watch, isn't it, my friend?
It is. And that's the thing. The audience ain't shrinking. It's only going to grow. So there'll be more demand for things to get better and more efficient and smarter. And I know there's a lot of people working on this stuff each and every year. We've got some rule changes. We'll have more rule changes down the road. But this is one, a couple things that have stood out that probably need to pick up the pace just a little bit.